said, he said, or whatever it is, they had to have 2 or more witnesses in agreement. So they had a lot of volunteers come forward. Oh yeah, we've got a lot of things we want to say about Jesus. And there was one particular charge that Mark brings up, and that is that I will destroy this man-made temple, and in 3 days will build another not made by man. Mark tells us this was the charge that a lot of these witnesses were bringing against Jesus. Now, in their traditions, in their beliefs, the Messiah would build a new temple. He would be responsible for rebuilding a destroyed temple. And so they were saying, but so we have to ask, why would this be a problem if they were saying that Jesus had said this? And we've heard Jesus say similar things. And it may be for this very reason, that he had promised to build a temple. And this was what the Messiah was going to do. And so they might have been saying, this guy is claiming to be the Messiah. He's going to be the one that's going to rebuild the temple. And they are accusing Jesus of, in fact, being the Messiah, which is not a crime. Maybe it gave them trouble, but it was not a crime. But Mark reports twice that the witnesses could not agree with each other. And he says that their testimony is false. But the question is what is false about their testimony? Haven't we read in the book of Mark that Jesus said, this temple will be destroyed and in 3 days it will be raised back up? So what is false about their testimony? Most likely, Mark is doing this because he wants us to know that it is not a physical temple that will be rebuilt. It is Jesus' body that will come back to life after 3 days. Mark is saying that the temple is gone. It's no longer valid. It's no longer even viable. But that Jesus, who was going to be killed, was going to come back in 3 days. This is now the temple that Mark is looking at. Jesus is really the temple that is going to be destroyed and be raised in 3 days. The temple where God now lives, excuse me, I have a tickle today, has nothing to do with buildings. The temple is us as believers. We are the temple of God. It's not this building with our nice stained glass windows and our very comfortable pews. This isn't the temple. It's the people. And we really are a good-looking temple, by the way. We are the temple of God. And that temple, Jesus Christ is that temple, and he was going to be destroyed. Excuse me. Jesus remained silent, just as it was prophesied that he would do. He would go like a lamb to the slaughter, and so he answers his he answers his accusers not at all. Until the high priest says, "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One?" And now Jesus responds. For the first time in this gospel, the phrase Son of God appears on the lips of a human being. Now we've read it in the narrative, coming from God. We've heard it from God out of heaven, but we have never heard it from a human being. We've even heard demons talk about the Son of God, but we've never heard it from a human being. So Mark introduces this for the first time out of the mouth of the high priest. Also for the first time in this gospel, Jesus publicly accepts the fact that he is the Messiah. Before, he's always tried to downplay it. He says, before, he's always tried to shut people up. Now he's telling people, yes, I am the Messiah. I am the one that you have been waiting for. The high priest labels his response blasphemy. Jesus has incriminated himself according to their views. Jesus has condemned himself by what he has said. And they're going to be judging him worthy of death on account of it. They didn't need the witnesses anymore because they were witnesses to what Jesus had said. But what is blasphemous about the answer? What is blasphemous about somebody saying that they are the Messiah, the one whose God has chosen to come and lead his people to freedom? After all, Jesus had said this, and they knew this, that the Messiah would come and lead his people to freedom. So what is blasphemous about this answer? We need to notice first that the high priest's reaction follows Jesus' complete statement. It wasn't just after his statement of, I am the Messiah. It was after his statement that said, I am, and you will see the Son of God coming on clouds of glory, sitting at the right hand of the Father. Now this answer that Jesus gave combines two different thoughts in their minds, in the Jews' minds. The one thought came from the messianic thoughts that they had, their messianic theology, and was based on Psalm 110. And in the messianic theology, they believed that the Messiah would be a son of David and would be an earthly king, and he would sit on the throne of his father David, and he would sit at the right hand of God on earth and wield his power. The other came from this apocalyptic end of the world tradition of Daniel 7, where it talked about God coming on the clouds of glory. And Jesus puts those two together. In the messianic tradition, the king was supposed to take his seat at the right hand of God. The sitting symbolized that they had God's power here on earth. But Jesus combines it with Daniel 7. And that means that the Messiah is going to be God himself. This was a human being claiming to be God, coming on the clouds of heaven, placing himself on the same level as God. When he said, I'm just an earthly Messiah, that wasn't blasphemy. Now he says, I am God, come as the Messiah. And they believed that that was blasphemy. He claims to be much more than just an earthly Messiah, just someone who would defeat the Romans. He claimed to be God himself in this statement, and they knew it. He implies that he has divine authority and that one day they would see it. The implication of that would be blasphemy if it was proved to be wrong. This statement that Jesus made, if he was not God, is blasphemy. If you made this statement, I would know this is blasphemy because you're not that good a person. If I made that statement, you would know it was blasphemy because I'm not God either. Jesus makes this statement, and he is God. But if he is not, it is blasphemy. Jesus' words will be substantiated. They will know that Jesus is God. They will see. This is what Jesus has said. You will see the Son of Man coming on clouds of glory. All these leaders can see now is this hick from the sticks. You know, this Galilean, whatever he is, just wandering around. He's never been to the best Judean schools. He's never been to Jerusalem to study. He talks with a bad accent. He doesn't even know how to speak, Hebrew real well. He's just this hick. That's all they can see. He was easily captured. What kind of Messiah is easily captured? A Messiah should have a powerful army behind him. And his army has vanished. They only had a couple swords anyway, and they didn't know how to use those. And what kind of Messiah is this? That's all they saw, was this pathetic human being standing in front of them. A Messiah who allowed himself to get captured and gave his life. And they couldn't see anything, but they were going to see. Finally, they came up with these two charges against Jesus. That he was going to destroy the temple, and that he was the Messiah and cause all kinds of trouble in the kingdom. And they bring these to Pilate. Now, we can see these charges coming out elsewhere as we close out this book. While Jesus is hanging on the cross, they make the same charges. So, you are going to destroy the temple and build it 3 days. Come on down. Same charge. The other charge was that he was the Messiah. Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down from the cross that we may see and believe. Again, all that they could see was a man dying. They could not see God dying for their sins. Mark tells us that these things came true. The temple was destroyed. The veil is torn from top to bottom. And the centurion declares, this man had to be the Son of God. These charges proved to be true. He did destroy the temple, and he was the Son of God. Well, this mockery of justice concludes with a mockery of Jesus Christ. They spit on him, they beat him, they slap him, they cover his face, and they taunt him and ask him to prophesy. Who hit you? Come on, if you're a prophet, you really can predict the future. Well, just in what happens here proves that he is a prophet. Because back in chapter 10, months earlier, he prophesied that he would be spit on. He prophesied that he would be slapped. He prophesied that he would be beaten and killed. These prophecies are coming true. He really was a prophet. He also prophesied that Peter would deny him 3 times. And that is coming true. Even as Jesus is being beaten, Peter is denying him. All of these prophecies